Okay, so today we're starting chapter 8, and specifically we're solving systems of equations. Systems of equations are two or more equations that have two or more variables, and you're trying to find where they cross. Remember, your answer should be a coordinate point, and that's telling me where the two lines are crossing. So the two methods we're going to talk about today are substitution and graphing. We're not actually going to do graphing, but it's listed here for you to check if you want to check it on a calculator. The one we're really going to focus on is substitution. For substitution, you want to isolate one of your variables and then plug it in to the other equation, just like substitutes fill in for teachers. So, if I take a look at number 1, it wants me to solve the system of equations. I have coefficients of 1 on all of my variables. Is there any particular letter you want me to get alone, x or y? Y, okay. First or second equation? Second equation will make it the hardest to get that y alone. Alright, so on the first one I want to subtract x on both sides. This gets me y equals 4 minus x. Then I want to go ahead and I'm going to plug this in for the y in the second equation. So instead of writing that y, I'm going to write 4 minus x, and it still equals 2. Okay, then what should I do next? So that's going to make it a negative 4. And then what happens to that x? This equals 2. Then what do you want me to do? Okay, what should happen next? Add 4 to both sides. So I have 2x equals 6. Then what? Okay, so because I'm solving a system of equations, my answer should be a coordinate point. Do I have my final answer yet? No. Do you guys remember how I get the second part of the answer? Does it matter what equation I plug in x to? No. Which one do you want me to plug it into? Okay. Okay, then how do I solve for y? Do you guys remember how the answer gets written for systems of equations? Yeah, so it gets written as a coordinate point, x comma y. It always goes in alphabetical order, so for some reason if I'm solving and the letters aren't x or y, they're like r or s, it always goes alphabetical. So this is going to be 3, 1 for my final answer here. Okay, so number 3 is a word problem. It says a total of $12,000 is invested in 2 funds paying 5% and 3% simple interest. I'm going to make my 5% x and my 3% y. It tells me the yearly interest is $500, so it wants me to see how much is invested at each rate. So I'm going to set up a system of equations. So I know that I am putting in x dollars into 5% and y dollars into the 3% account. and I'm putting away a total of $12,000. A lot of money. Okay, and then I get $500 in just interest each year. So I know my interest rate on the X is 0.05. And I know my interest rate on the Y is 0.03. Because what I did was I took my interest rates and divided by 100 to get those decimals. And then this should get me $500. Okay. Which equation do you want me to solve for one of my variables? Top or bottom? Top, because those ones have coefficients of 1. Which letter? X or Y? You want X to be alone? Okay. So I'm going to subtract Y on both sides. I get X equals 12,000 minus Y. So then I want to go ahead and plug this in for my X into the second equation. Okay, so when I distribute, what's 0.05 times 12,000? What's 0.05 times negative Y? Yep. This still equals 500. I combine them? Okay. So what's negative 0.05 plus 0.03? Negative 0.02 because they have opposite signs and they keep the sign of the larger. This equals 500 still. Okay, then what should I do next? Okay, so that leaves me with negative 0.02y on the left and negative 100 on the right. Okay, how do I get my y alone? So I get what for y? I got 5,000. .02. You said 0.2. Okay, so then I need to solve for x. Which equation you want me to use, top or bottom? Okay, Nick. Yeah. I also kind of ran out of space. I apologize. Okay, how do I get x alone? And x is... Okay, so since this was a word problem, I need to give it back in context. So 7,000 at 5%, and 5,000 at 3%. Okay, so on number 5, I'm still solving systems of equations, and I'm still using substitution, except notice my top equation has an x squared. So this is telling me when I go to solve my second equation, I probably want to isolate the y so that when I plug it in, I'm left with all x's in my top, so I can factor. So I'm going to start off by subtracting 2x on both sides. Okay, then what do I want to do to isolate my y? So that just gets me y equals 2x plus 1. Hmm? Okay, so then I want to go ahead and take this and plug it in for my y in my original equation. So I have x squared plus 4x plus this 2x plus 1, and it should equal 7. Huh? Oh, just kidding. It was negative.
What's negative?
This red plus should be a negative, because in the top equation it was a negative y. Guys, quiet down. Okay, then what do I want to do? So it's going to give me negative 2x minus 1. Then what do I want to do? So I'm going to have x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals 7. Okay, then what? This is a quadratic, so what do I like doing with quadratics? Yes, I want to move the 7 to the other side because I like setting my quadratics equal to 0. So this is going to give me x squared plus 2x minus 8 equals 0. Okay, what factors, or what multiplies to negative 8 and adds to positive 2? So I'm going to have x plus 4 times x minus 2. Okay, what do I do after this? I set each of my factors equal to 0 by the zero product property. Okay. And then I want to solve each of them. So the first one I want to subtract 4 on both sides. And the second one I want to add 2 on both sides. So on this one, I'm going to have 2 answers because what's happening is this graph is going to look something like this, where it's crossing twice. So 2 answers is okay when I have a quadratic. I want to plug each of these in to find my y values at the different points. Which equation would you like me to plug it into? Top or bottom? Bottom. I don't know about you guys, but I like working in linear equations, not quadratics. Oh yeah, my bad, Nick. Thank you. That's gonna change this for. Okay, so 2 times negative 4 gets me. Then I want to go ahead and do what? I get negative y equals 7. So I get y equals negative 7. Put it over here. So my answer here is negative 4, comma, negative 7. That's one of my answers. I'll have a second one, so I'm not going to box it quite yet. Then for my second point, which equation do you want me to plug into? The bottom. You can plug into the top one, and it should give you the same answer. It's just more work. So 2 times 2 gets me... And then what do I want to do? Bless you. And then what do I want to do? So I get y equals 5. So my other coordinate point is 2, comma 5. Okay, guys, last problem.
Yay, last problem.
Which equation should I solve for y? Top or bottom?
Top one.
Top one because there's no exponent. So I'm going to start off by adding x to both sides. That gets me y equals 4 plus x. 4 plus x. Why did I write 4x?
I put 4x.
Yes, I'm showing you what mistakes not to do on tests. Okay? Then I want to go ahead and plug this in for the y on my second equation. Okay, then what do I want to do next? I could distribute a 1, but it's going to give me back the same thing. I can write it in order. Okay, what should I do next? Okay, so what multiplies to 1 and adds to 1? 1 plus 1 gives us 1? Okay, so if I can't easily figure it out, remember I have the quadratic formula, which is x equals plus and minus the square, wait. I messed up already. It's x equals negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So what are my a, b, and c values for this equation? Yes, they're all ones. Okay, so I want to go ahead and plug into this formula. I have negative 1 plus and minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 1 over 2 times 1. So I just want to simplify things for now. I still have this negative 1 out front. What is 1 squared? Negative 4 times 1 times 1. And 2 times 1 is 2. What's the square root of 1 what's 1 minus 4? You've never heard me yawn before? That's what Natalie said. I feel like I yawn all the time in first hour.
I know, really.
What's 1 minus 4? Alright. So, I have the square root of negative 3. Okay, it is not 3i. It does give me an I, but is I real? So is there going to be a solution? No. So then I just write no solution. I need to see your work for that, though.